Everyone, welcome to Amska Academy. Today we are going to learn about political parties. What is the importance of political parties? Let us see here. In the political parties, in grade 9, we have learned about political parties in several regions, several countries. We notice the role of political parties in the rise of democracy, in the formation of constitutional design, in the electoral politics. That all we studied in grade 9. So now we are going to look at political parties as vehicles of federal sharing of political power. They act as negotiators of social divisions in the arena of democratic politics. Before concluding this tour, let us learn about the nature and working of political parties, especially in our country. How the political parties work, how we look at the political parties' nature of work. We begin by asking two questions. One is, why do we need political parties? How many parties are good for the national and regional political parties in India? What can be done about it? Because why do we need political parties? Political parties are not easy, one of the most visible institutions in a democracy. The political parties are easily one of the most visible institutions in democracy. For the most ordinary citizens, democracy is equal to political party. For a common man, for an ordinary citizen, democracy means political party. If we travel to the remote parts of our country and speak to less educated citizens, you could come across people who may not know anything about constitution. They might not even have any idea about the constitution or the nature of our government. But chances are there that they would know something about our political party. At the same time, this visibility does not mean the popularity. Most people tend to be very critical of political parties, which means political parties are the easily visible signs of democratic setup. Most of the people, the less educated, ordinary citizens, feel that democracy around uneducated people might feel that political parties is democracy because they might not have any idea about the constitution and its setup. Most people tend to be very critical of the political parties. They might be criticizing the political parties. They tend to blame parties for all the things that are going wrong with the democracy and our political life. So the common people, mostly uneducated people in the remote areas, feel that everything that is going wrong in democracy is happening because of political parties. Parties have become identified with social and political divisions. We also know certain political parties have strong implications with certain set of people. Therefore, it is a natural to ask, we need political parties at all. About 100 years ago, there were few countries of the world that had any political party. 100 years before, from now, if you see, there were no political parties. Now there are few that do not have political parties. But why did the political parties become so omnipresent in democracies all over the world? Why the political parties have become so crucial, so important in any country in the world today? The answer for the political parties is what they do, where, before we get into the details of that. So let us see first the meaning of the political party. A political party is the elections, they contest the elections to hold power in the government. Means they will form the government. They agree on some policies. The second important point is that they come up with some collective good. They come up with some programs. They come up with some policies which will benefit all people in the society. Since there can be different views on what is good for all, so definitely it is very important to discuss what is good to for all. So the parties try to persuade, try to convince people why their policies are better than others, because there can be different viewpoints. Some people might say dams are good, some people might say dams can cause damage to our houses. So the parties try to persuade, convince the public why their policies or the party stands are very good. They seek to implement these policies by winning the popular support through elections. They will win by getting the support. Now, parties reflect fundamental political divisions in the society. Parties are about to be a part of the society and thus involve partisanship. As we talk about the political parties, once they are formed, they naturally divide the society into different parts. Some people supporters, some people opponents of a particular party. So that is the fundamental political division existing in our society. Thus, a party is known by which part it stands for, which policy it stands for. Support of the interest groups. A political party has mainly three components: the leaders, the members, and the active members in that, followed by followers. Any political party will have three components: the leader, the active members, and the followers. Let us now look at the functions of the political parties. So till now we saw why the political parties are very important. What do they do? Why we need to have political parties? The political parties reflect the fundamental political division in a society. Political parties are known by the part it stands by, the policies it supports, and whose interest it upholds. It contains mainly three components: the leaders, the active members, and the followers. Coming to the functions of the political party. What does a political party do? Basically, the political parties, let us say Congress, BJP, TRS, TDP, any party you take, they fill the political offices and exercise political power. They actually fill the political offices and exercise the political power. Parties do by performing a series of functions. Apart from this, they also perform a series of functions. First one, it contests in the elections. Political parties contest in the elections. In elections, in democracy, if there are no political parties, then there is no point of conducting elections. So, political parties put up their candidates which are supported by the parties. Then parties select their candidates in different ways. In some countries like USA, members and supporters choose its candidates, while in the countries like India, top party leaders choose their candidates for contesting elections. So here in our country, the top leaders of the political party decide who will contest on behalf of the political party in the elections. So parties contest in the elections. That is the first function. Coming to the second function, political parties put forward different policies and programs. So, the political parties come up with certain policies and programs, and voters choose from them. Party A will offer certain policies, similarly, Party B will offer certain programs. So, the voters will decide either Party A or Party B which policies are good for us, and then they choose the party. Each of us have different opinions and views on what policies are suitable for society, but no government can handle such a large variety of views. In a democracy, a large number of similar opinions have to be grouped together to provide a direction in which the policies can be formulated by the government. That is what the parties do. So, we have many people in our society. Each one has different views. In order to have the better view, they group up the majority opinion and they decide the direction where the government can head to. That's what the parties do. A party reduces the vast multitude of opinions into one single opinion or few basic positions which supports a government is expected to do or base its policies on the timeline taken by the ruling party. So, multiple opinions are confined to few basic points on which the political party or the ruling party will take the decision. Political parties also play a major role in making laws. So, formally, laws are debated and passed in the legislature. But since most of the members belong to a party, they go by the direction of the party leadership. The party leadership will decide which policies to be made, irrespective of their personal opinions. The leader of the party's opinion will be carried forward. Coming to the fourth important duty, they form and run the government. As we have voted in the recent years, the big policy decisions are taken by political executives that come from political parties. Parties recruit leaders, train them, and then make them ministers to run the government in the way they want. So, they decide which leaders have to contest on our behalf, then they recruit the leaders, they train them, and they make them as the ministers to run the government in the way they want. Those parties that lose in the elections also play a very crucial role, that is the role of opposition. To the parties in power, by voicing out different views and criticizing the government for its failures or the wrong policies, opposition parties also mobilize opposition to the government and they bring to the notice of the government which areas are missing by the government. The political parties shape public opinion as well. They raise and highlight issues. Parties have lakhs of members and activists spread all over the country. Many of the pressure groups are the extensions of political parties among different sections. So political parties have huge membership. So they mobilize the shape public opinion. Parties sometimes also launch a movement for the resolution of the problems faced by people. They directly take the issue to the notice of the public. Often opinions in the society crystallize on the lines parties take. So mostly the opinions are shaped by political parties. Parties also provide people access to government machinery and welfare. So the government machinery or the welfare schemes that are implemented by the government, for an ordinary citizen, it is very easy to approach a local party leader than a government officer because the party leaders are very approachable. That's why they feel close to party, even when they do not have fully trust on them. Parties have to be very, very close, responsive to people's needs and demands. Otherwise, people can reject those parties in next election. So basically, what are the main functions of the political party? First, it contests the election. Two, they put forward the policies and the programs the party is planning. Three, they play an important role in lawmaking. Four, parties form and run the government. They also play a role of an opposition party. 6. They shape the public opinion. 7. Parties give access to government machinery and welfare schemes. Now, let us see what is the necessity of a political party. The necessity of the functions in sense of answer is that we need political parties because they perform all the functions, but we still need to ask why modern democracies cannot exist without political parties. We understood the necessity of political parties by imagining a situation without parties. Every candidate in the election will be independent. So no one will be able to make any promises to the people about any major policy change. The government may be formed, but its utility will remain ever uncertain. Elected representatives will be accountable to their constituency for what they do in their locality, but no one will be responsible for how the country will be run. In order to understand the importance and the necessity of political parties, let us imagine a situation where there are no political parties. Only candidates are contesting in the election and winning the election. Now, there arises a fundamental question. Who forms the government? What will be the stands that are taken by the leaders? Because everyone is coming up with their own policy stand. They might be working very well at the local level, but when it comes to the country level, there will not be a uniform policy stand. So we can also think that it might be looking at the non-party based elections to panchayat in many states, but panchayat does not contest formally. It is generally noticed that villages get split into more than one faction. Each of the wards puts up a panel of its candidates. This is exactly what the parties does. They put a number of candidates and they have a policy framework. They have the guidelines, whether the country may be big or small, developed or not developed, old or new. The rise of the political parties is directly linked to the emergence of representative democracy. As we have seen, large societies need representative democracy. As societies become large and complex, it becomes very, very difficult to gather different views on various issues. So they need political parties to get some ways to bring various representatives together so that government could be formed. They need a mechanism to support or restrain the government, make policy, justify or oppose them. The political parties fulfill these needs that every party, every government has. We can say that parties are necessary condition for democracy. So we learned in this part of the video what is the importance of a political party. What are the functions of political? Now let us discuss about how many political parties do we need. How many political parties do we in our country or in any country, in any democratic setup? Any group of citizens is free to form political party. So there is no restriction or there is no formal sense that there are large number of political parties in each country. More than 750 parties are registered with the Election Commission of India. But not all the parties are serious contenders in the election. Usually, only a handful of parties are very effective in the race to win election. So they form the government. The question is now, how many major or effective parties are good for democracy? How many parties should we have? There is no restriction, no limitation on how many parties do we need to have. That's why in our country we have 750 political parties registered with the Election Commission of India. And is there all the parties are serious about elections? There are only a handful of parties which are serious about the election. So how many major or effective parties are good for a democracy? In some countries, only one party is allowed to control and run the government. This is called one party system. Some countries we have only one party which can effectively control the election, the government. In class 9, we studied about China. China we have only one communist party which has allowed to rule, although legally speaking people are free to form political parties, but it does not happen because the electoral system does not permit for free election or competition for power. Similarly, we cannot consider one party system as a good option because how will we say that is the best form of government? Even if they work, they don't work, they only will win. So in democracy, at least two parties should be there. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So in some countries, power usually changes between two main parties. Several other parties may exist, contest the elections, and win few seats in the national legislature. But only the two main parties have a serious chance of winning majority of seats and to form government. Such party system is called two-party system. We have the two-party system in United States of America and United Kingdom. In these two states we have two-party system. If several political parties compete for power, that is more than two political parties, then they have a reasonable chance of coming to power either or their own strength or in an alliance. That system is called multi-party system. And in our country, India, we have multi-party system. In the system, government is formed by various political parties coming together in a coalition. So, in our country, we follow multi-party system. When several parties in a multi-party system join hands for the purpose of contesting elections and win the required number of seats, then it is called as alliance or a front. For example, in India, there were three such major alliances in 2004 elections: the National Democratic Alliance, the United Progressive Alliance, and the Left Front. So the multi-party system often appears very messy and leads to political instability. At the same time, the system allows a variety of interests and options or opinions to enjoy political representation. So, till now we discussed the one-party system where only one party will contest in the election. Then we discussed about the two-party system where two political parties only will have a chance of contesting and the power will be shared only between these two. Coming to the third type of party system, that is multi-party system. In the multi-party system, there are many parties which either they contest directly or form an alliance and they try to come to power. In India, we have multi-party system. So, which of these is better? Perhaps the best answer is that very common question that is not a very good question. Party system is something a country can choose, but it evolves over a long period of time depending upon the nature of the society, its social and religious divisions in the history of politics, its system of election. These cannot be changed very quickly. Cannot change them very quickly. Each country develops a party system that is controlled by its special circumstances. For example, in India, if we have evolved a multi-party system, it is because of its social and geographic diversity. In such a large country, it is not easily absorbed by 2 or even 3 parties. No system is ideal for all countries and all situations. So the answer for the question, which of these systems, 1 party, 2 party, 3 party system is better? None of the answers above, because no system is ideal for all the countries and all situations. So it is not easy to answer the question which system is the best. It changes from situation to situation, country to country. The national parties and state parties in our country. Democracies that follow a federal system overall the world tend to have 2 kinds of political parties. So all over the world, we generally have, where there is a federal system, we have 2 kinds of political parties. Parties that present in only one of the federal units, and parties that are present in several or all units of the federation. This is the case in India as well. So even in India, we have 2 parties or 2 types of parties. There are some countries with wide parties called as national parties, and these parties have their units in various states. So there are some parties which are very big parties, they have units in various states, but there are some units in various states, but by and large all these units follow the same policy, same strand, policy and strategy that is decided at the national level. So a large parties or big parties are called national parties, where they have their units in various states, but by and large they follow the same policy and same strategy that is decided at the national level. Every party in the country has to register with the Election Commission of India. So every political party has to get its registration done with the Election Commission of India. While the Election Commission treats all the parties equally, it offers some special facilities to large and established parties. Like, the parties are given unique symbol. Only the official candidates of the party can use these symbols for election. So the large political parties will have one and only one unique symbol. Parties that get this privilege and some other privileges include, like, they are recognized by the commission for this purpose. The parties are called recognized political parties. First, any political party has to register itself with the Election Commission of India. Once it is registered, the large political parties will get a unique symbol. So these parties come to be known as recognized political parties. The Election Commission has laid down the detailed criteria for the proportion of votes or seats the party must win to get in order as to be called as a recognized party. So a party that secures at least 6% of total votes in the election to a state legislative assembly and wins at least 2 seats is recognized as a state party. Any political party which contests in the elections, and for any state it contests, it should get at least 6% of the total votes polled in favor of it, and at least 2 seats in the state legislature. So that party will be recognized as state party. A party that secures at least 6% of votes of the total votes in the Lok Sabha elections or assembly elections in 4 states and win at least 4 seats in the Lok Sabha is recognized as national party. For state party we told 6% plus 2 seats, but for the national party it should win at least 6% of votes in the Lok Sabha total votes polled plus 4 seats, or it has to win 6% of votes in 4 state assemblies and win 4 Lok Sabha seats. Then only that party will be recognized as national party. So we have state party, we have national party as well. That's how we recognize the state party and national party. According to the classification which we discussed above, there are 7 regional national parties recognized in the country in 2018. So we have 7 recognized national parties. Let us learn about each one. The first one is AITC, All India Trinamool Congress. This was launched on 1st of January 1998 under the leadership of Mamata Banerjee. She was recognized as a national party in 2016 elections. The party's symbol is flower and grass. So they are committed to secularism and federalism, has been power in West Bengal since 2011. Also has a presence in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Tripura. In the general elections in 2019, it got 4.07% of votes and won 22 seats, making it the 4th largest party in the Lok Sabha. So let us check the conditions whether it has fulfilled or not. It has the leadership, yes. It is in power since 2001, now it is 2020, from last 9 years. It has its presence in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Tripura and West Bengal. It has 4.7% votes and at least 4 seats it has to win. It has won 22 seats and it has been recognized as the 4th largest party in Lok Sabha. That is All India Trinamool Congress under the leadership of Mamata Banerjee. Now moving to Bahujan Samaj Party. The Bahujan Samaj Party was formed in 1984 under the leadership of Kanshi Ram. Seeks to represent and secure power for the Bahujan Samaj, which includes Dalits, Adivasis and the other backward classes and religious minorities. So draws inspiration from the teachings and ideas of Sahu Maharaj, Mahatma Phule, Periyar Ramaswamy Nayakar and Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So Bahujan Samaj Party's ideas were to secure and represent the power of the Dalits, Adivasis and other backward classes. They stand up for the cause of securing the interest and the welfare of the people of Dalits and the oppressed classes. So this party has its main base in Uttar Pradesh and also has substantial presence in neighboring states like Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, Delhi and Punjab. Now formed government in Uttar Pradesh several times by taking the support of different parties at different times. In Lok Sabha elections held in 2019, it has polled about 3.63% votes and secured 10 seats in the Lok Sabha. So they have their presence in more than 4 states excluding Uttar Pradesh. So that's why it is also considered as one of the national party. Coming to Bharatiya Janata Party. So the BJP is founded in 1980 by reviving the erstwhile Bharatiya Janasangh, formed by Shyam Prasad Mukherjee in 1951. They want to build a strong and a modern India by drawing its inspiration from India's ancient culture and values. Deen Dayal Upadhyay's ideas of integral humanism and Antyodaya means the cultural nationalism. Hindutva is an important element in its conception of Indian nationalhood and politics. So BJP's fundamental ideas are India's ancient culture and values. Deen Dayal Upadhyay's ideal of integral humanism and Antyodaya. Their integral part is Hindutva. They want to bring the conception of Indian nationalhood and politics. They want fulfill territorial and political integration of Jammu and Kashmir with India and also get uniform civil code for all people living in the country irrespective of religion in the country and also ban on religious conversion. So they want to integrate Jammu and Kashmir's land completely into India. Article 370 has been scrapped off recently in 2019 and there has been substantially cut or reduction in the religious conversions. Its support base is increased substantially in the 1990s. Earlier limited to north and west and to urban areas, the party expanded its support in the south, east and the northeast and to the rural areas as well. It came to power in 1998 as an alliance with NDA and including several other parties. So it emerged as the largest party with 303 elected members in 2019 election of Lok Sabha. Currently, it's leading the ruling NDA government at the center, BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party. Coming to the Communist Party of India, CPI, it has formed in 1925 and it believes in the Marxism, Leninism, secularism and democracy. It is opposed to the forces of sectionism, means divisions in the society and communalism. It accepted parliamentary democracy as a means of promoting the interest of the workers or working class. Farmers and the poor became weak after split in the party in 1964 that led to the formation of CPI-M. Significant presence in the states of Kerala, West Bengal, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So its support base had gradually declined over the years and it secured less than 1% of votes and 2 seats in 2019 Lok Sabha election. Advocates the coming together of all left parties to build a strong left front. CPI was formed in 1925, but there was a split in the party in 1964, forming CPI-M. From then it became weak, but it has its presence in the states of West Bengal, Karnataka, Kerala, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Coming to the Communist Party of India. The Communist Party of India came into existence in 1964. It believes in Marxism, Leninism, socialism, secularism and democracy and opposes imperialism in any form and communalism. It accepted democracy as a election and useful, helpful, meaningful for securing the objective of socio-economic justice in India. It enjoys a strong support in West Bengal, Kerala, Tripura, especially among the poor, factory workers, farmers, agricultural laborers and intelligence. It was critical of the new economic policies that allows the free flow of the foreign capital and goods into the country was objectionable for them. They were in power in West Bengal without a break for 34 years. In 2019 Lok Sabha elections, it won 1.75% of votes and 3 seats. Now moving on to the Indian National Congress. The Indian National Congress was one of the oldest parties of the world. It was founded in 1885 and has experienced many splits, played a dominant role in the Indian politics at the national level, state level for several decades after India's independence. Under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, the party sought to build up a modern, secular, democratic republican in India. Ruling party at the center till 1977, and then from 1980 to 1989, and after 1989 its support declined, but it continues to be present throughout the country. Cutting across the social divisions, the centrist party, neither rightist nor leftist in its ideological orientation, is the ideology where the party espouses secularism as a main philosophy in the welfare of the weaker sections and minorities. The Indian National Congress supports new economic reforms but with a human face. Leaders of the UPA, United Progressive Alliance, formed the government from 2004 to 2014. So in 2019 Lok Sabha elections, it won 52 seats. Right now, they are not in the major dominant role, but still they have role in opposition. Coming to the National Congress Party, that is the Nationalist Congress Party, formed in 1999 following a split in the Congress Party. So the espouses democracy, Gandhian secularism, equity, social justice and federalism. They want the high offices in the government to be confined to the natural born citizens of the country alone. Only Indians have the right to be in the high officials. A major party in Maharashtra and has a significant presence in Meghalaya, Manipur and Assam. A coalition partner in the state of Maharashtra in alliance with the Congress. Since 2004, a member of the UPA, United Progressive Alliance, has been playing a dominant role. So we have 7 major national political parties.